All right, this section I'm going to cover, we're going to talk about cutting and crushing medications, the different options that we have for that and how that works. So we're going to start out with cutting. This is not something that you would be doing very often with the way things are set up now. If you are supposed to give a half a pill, then that's what they put in the bubble pack. But if you're doing like home health or something and you do have to cut medications, so I want to go over this. I'm just using a basic aspirin to cut and crush, so we can talk about doing that. So what you would first start out with is I want you to start out by cutting the pill for me. First you need to shake one out. Oh, look at that, I got 2 or 3 of them. Okay, try to shake out one pill. Okay, you cannot touch them, you can't put your finger on them, things like that. So go ahead, put the lid back on your medication. So this is one of the cutters. There's lots of different kinds of cutters again, but this particular one is what we use here. It's got this V-shaped area so that you can lay a capsule in there. It can be a tablet, whatever it is, it fits in here really nicely. So again, I don't want you to touch the pill, but I want you to put it in the pill cutter. If you get it up into that V really far like it's supposed to be, like this, then you know that it is up there snug and in a good place. In this particular cutter, that's a razor blade at the top, so watch out. Don't cut yourself when you're trying to do the pill. Keep your fingers out of the way. So you've got your medication in there, you've got it up in the V where it should be. Keep it laying down, that's easiest, and snap it right there in half, okay? So then you have your 2 halves, all right? So if somebody would need just a half of a pill, that's what we're gonna do. The other one that I wanted to show you today is talking about crushing. Now there's a couple of different medication crushers as well. This one is something we used to use a long time ago when I first started nursing. There was some things we didn't think about with it. So what this one is for individual use. This is like for someone in the home or the residence where it's their own room. That you don't use this from person to person to person. And I'll show you why here in just a minute. So in order to crush a medication, again, we're going to use the same thing. I'm going to shake out one. I'm going to put it into my pill crusher. This particular one has just a center on it. You could put medications in there. If you're crushing medications, you can put several different medicines in here and crush them together, but only if you have an order. That's one of the new things that they're changing, is that you must have a doctor's order to what they call cocktail the medications, and that is to mix several meds together when you crush them. Not all medications play well together, and so you want to make sure that you have the doctor's approval, not only to crush the pills, but to crush them together. So with this particular one, it's pretty simple, basic. You just turn it, and it crushes that pill. If you want to, you can open it up a little bit, kind of shake it around and crunch it again. When you go ahead and take the top off, it gives you this wonderful, nice, powdery residue that works out wonderfully for mixing. It's a nice powder residue. Now, what we didn't think about way back when was that if you look at this, it's got all this residue on it. And we would crush several residents' medications with these. And it's like, ooh, never really thought too much about how much are we mixing other people's medicines. So again, that's why this is a single person, one person use. You're not going to be using it on multiple people. Then the next one I want to talk to you about is Silent Night. We've all seen this. We all know what a Silent Night is, right? We've heard it and seen it being used. So we're going to shake out our pill. Okay. And then in the back of this particular Silent Night is where the little bags are. This is the bag for the medication. Again, I don't want you to stick your finger in there. I don't want you to waller it around like that. You need to just kind of squeeze the sides and it opens right up. Okay. We put our medication in our bag. All right, and then we're going to crush it. Again, if you have the ordered a cocktail, you can put more than one medication in here. We've all heard the Silent Night, right? It's nice and silent. No, that's the wrong way to use it, okay? So I'm going to show you the right way to use it. And if that's what you're used to hearing at your facility, you can go and say, hey, let me show you what I learned today, okay? So, to use the Silent Night, it's silent, it's quiet. So you lift the handle. Between the blue and the gray here is where you're going to put your pill. So when it's down, it's together, you lift up the handle, it separates, okay? And then you're going to crush that pill down. I like to turn the bag and crush it again, and turn it and crush it again. And you didn't hear anything, right? And there's my pill, all nicely crushed for me and ready to be used. So I'm going to have you dump that into a cup for me. Okay. We're going to think about a couple of things here as we work, all right? So we want to get that bag as cleaned out as possible, get all those little pieces, okay? This is our applesauce. We're going to mix our crushed medications with our applesauce. So you know there's no such thing as a double dip, right? So you get out the amount that you need, because you can't get it out, stir, and then put that spoon back in, okay? So can't do that. So you get out the amount you need, and then I want you to mix it, okay? So you're gonna mix it and mix it. I want you to look at the bottom of the cup. Do you see any pockets of powdery residue that you didn't get mixed up? So you need to do this really well. You turn that cup around several times. Make sure that you've got all those pieces mixed in there, okay? Okay, so then I'm gonna give Frank his medication. So Frank, here's your bite of medication. And Frank, here's another bite of your applesauce and medication, okay? And I'm done, okay? What I want you to think about is what's in this bag, the residue and the pieces that we leave behind. And then if we don't clean this cup out that we used with the applesauce or pudding or whatever, how much of their medications are we throwing away? If you're talking about a little tiny digoxin or Lanoxin pill, they're really small. And by the time you crush it and leave some of it in the bag, and then you leave some of it in the cup, how much is that resident really getting? So when you do the medication pass and you give them those bites, clean it out really well. I want you to clean as much out of there as you can. And yes, it might mean that they have to take a third bite or a fourth bite, but it is better for them to get their medication than to throw it away. So you want to make sure you've got all of that out of there. Give them another bite of that medicine and clean that cup out well. The other thing I want you to think about is the applesauce, okay? Here's my question to you. If you ate applesauce 2 or 3 times a day, 365 days of the year, for 7 years, how excited would you be about eating applesauce? Probably wouldn't, would you? Wouldn't like it at all. And on top of that, a lot of time the applesauce that they use in our long-term care facility is what? Unflavored. It is unsweetened. It is probably pretty generic. And it probably doesn't have much flavor to it. So when it comes to mixing your residents' medications, I encourage you to be creative. Think about it. Think about if it was you. Ask the resident what they want. Peanut butter. You can mix your pills in peanut butter. You can mix your pills in yes, we see a lot of them do chocolate pudding or vanilla pudding and the applesauce, of course. One of the things that I love to use are those little containers that you get at the restaurant, and sometimes they have them at your facilities, that are for the jelly. And they have the diabetic low sugar ones. They have just regular jelly. And those are perfect because it's the right amount and you can just get it out. That little cup can then be thrown away. It doesn't have to be timed and dated like with applesauce or anything that you leave on your cart to use repeatedly. Has to be kept cold, and it has to be timed and dated so that you make sure that you are using it within the proper length of time from it being opened. So those little jellies, and the jelly is so sweet and it's so flavorful, and it hides the medication taste a lot better than applesauce. We had one resident who liked his crushed pills in chocolate syrup. It's like, I don't care if he wants it in chocolate syrup, I'll give it to you. They can do it in ice cream and stuff like that. If you're going to use something like ice cream, I would recommend that you take out a teaspoon or so and mix the pills with that, and then have that the first bite that's right on top. You don't want to mix the whole container, because what if they don't eat the whole thing? What if they only eat a couple bites? So you want to make sure that they're getting all of their medications in those first couple bites, okay? But again, I want you to make sure that you are cleaning it out very well, that you are utilizing it, and so that the resident gets all of their medication and that we're not leaving anything behind. And please remember, this is a silent night. It should be a quiet. You're not doing any good by banging. It's not crushing any better, any worse than doing it quietly. So, okay. We'll move on from there and we'll talk about the MAR.